Hi, and welcome to the Home But Not Alone, a Family Connection series. We're so glad that you joined us to learn a little bit about play, why it's important for you as a caregiver, and why we need to be creating opportunities for play for our children and youth, especially during these challenging times of being at home with stay-at-home orders and the pandemic occurring. My name is Jennifer Jorgensen. I am the team lead for the Kin, Foster, and Adoptive Families Training Team at the Vermont Child Welfare Training Partnership at the University of Vermont. I've had quite a bit of experience taking a look at and exploring and practicing use of play in therapeutic situations, both in residential settings, in school settings, but also in individual, family, and group therapeutic settings, mostly working with children with trauma histories, and a lot of those children living in care outside of home settings, be it kinship or foster or adoptive care. If we were together, I would do a poll on play now, and I'd like you to answer these questions out loud as I pose them. How many of you have played in the last week? How often do you typically play? Would you say daily? Once a week? A couple times a week? Once a month? Seldom? Or never? How often do you find yourself as an adult playing? What gets in the way of play? Too much to do? Not enough time? Don't really enjoy playing? Feel uncomfortable playing? Or maybe you have some other reasons. Lastly, I'd like for you to think about what you appreciated and enjoyed playing as a child. Did you enjoy playing board games or imaginative play? Were you an outside player, a bike rider, sports player, or did you really like doing arts and crafts? What type of play did you really enjoy? And think about it. When you did that type of play, how did it make you feel? I have a quick video here for us to ground ourselves and why is it important for us to be thinking about incorporating play with the children and youth that we're caring for. Now that you've begun thinking about what you really liked doing as a child and what type of play was fun for you and what it meant for you, let's think about the children and youth that we care for. You are a playmaker. I showed you that film for a number of reasons. Life is Good is the organization that developed this. So the Life is Good t-shirts and different apparel that you see with the stick figure and dogs, they have a nonprofit arm called Playmakers, and they actually have a specific curriculum and they train individuals on being playmakers. But I know you are a playmaker. You are a playmaker because you signed up to take this micro-learning to learn about play. You are caring for children and youth. You see play as children's work, as the work of youth, and as important. Play is not only important for toddlers and young children, babies need play, teens need play, adults need play. Play is so critical. And when we take a look at the children and youth that we are caring for, that you are caring for, that have trauma histories, early childhood adversity, and some not so great things that have happened, like the video talked about, play is even more important for us to help rewire the brain and to build resilience with that child or youth as they move forward into adulthood. Let's take a moment to briefly look at some of the science around play. I want to raise to you that the Harvard Center on the Developing Child has a great website with some really solid resources. So go ahead and check that out. If you are interested, there's a lot of videos and some additional links and videos, articles, research, just some really great information there about all sorts of things, the Center of the Developing Child. But specifically for our purposes, I want to highlight some of what they share around babies, early childhood, and child development around play. So the science of child development points to 3 core principles that guide what society needs to do to help children and families thrive. So there are core principles that guide society. And the things that need to happen are supporting responsive relationships, strengthening core life skills, and reducing the sources of stress. So the way that we do that is we play. We play in early childhood. That's an effective way of supporting all 3 of these principles, right? So I'm not going to show you the video here, but there are some great videos that you can watch that talk about how play can foster children's resilience to hardship and how the complex interactions involved when children play help build their brains, right? So play is a child's work that helps them strengthen their social emotional learning development, their problem solving, their conflict resolution. It creates opportunities and ways for them to manage stress, to be able to focus, to be able to emotionally and self-regulate. There's so much research and science behind play and the importance for children's typical development, let alone those with trauma histories and development that's been significantly impacted. Play is even more critical and important. I want to raise that at the partnership, we offer something called RPC Plus. That's the Resource Parent Curriculum, and that was developed by the National Child Traumatic Stress Network. We offered that as a pilot many years ago here in Vermont and have adapted that curriculum and have worked hand in hand with NCTSN as we've added a component, the TIPS part, which is the plus, which is the trauma-informed parenting skills and strategies. And so we have trained about 500 caregivers across the state of Vermont in RPC Plus. It typically is a once a week, 1 night a week for 10 weeks trauma intensive skills workshop where we learn about, apply what we learn about trauma to the children that we're caring for, but specifically spend some significant chunks of time learning and practicing play, attachment, and attunement skills. So part of that is we turn certain skills up and we turn down certain skills, and we do that in order to tune in and to work on our attachment and attunement with the children and youth that we're caring for. If you haven't participated in RPC Plus, please check out our website or our e-learnings, because we have virtual offerings of RPC Plus during this time. And as we hopefully move in the future to offering in-person trainings again, we will continue to offer RPC Plus across the state and have partnered with designated agencies. The community mental health agencies are offering it across the state in partnership with us at the Vermont Child Welfare Training Partnership at UVM. So please know that you can get your hands dirty and roll up your sleeves and learn and practice skills and strategies that you could take home with your children. Oftentimes we think of play as something that we need to do that isn't something we want to do, and it's not something we have to do, but we have to work it in to do play with the children and youth. When really we as adults need play too, especially now. We need play. We need to play. We need to be playful. We need to engage in play alone, with other adults, with children and youth. And during these really challenging and trying times, we need that even more. So I encourage you to take a look at Dr. Stuart Brown's Play is More Than Just Fun TED Talk. He is a doctor that has spent decades researching play, and he has really great information around play. Play has been shown to release endorphins, to improve our brain functionality, and to stimulate creativity. It can help us keep young, help keep us young, help us feel more energetic. And studies have actually shown that play improves memory and stimulates the growth of the cerebral cortex of our brain. It's shown to trigger substances within our brain that are essential for the growth of brain cells. So adults critically need play, and it serves so many wonderful purposes, not only for us, but for the children and youth that we're caring for. What Dr. Brown found in his research was that there are kind of 5 different archetypes of play. When you take a look at the different types of play: rough and tumble, ritual play, imaginative play, body play, and object play. When we take a look at each of these, I think for me individually, I was fascinated by the fact that I actually enjoy and participate in quite a few of these different types of play. But if you were to poll me, if I were to answer those questions at the beginning of this microlearning around play without having this information, I might have said I haven't played lately, right? When really I have. It's just a different type of play than I think what we sometimes see as the definition of play. So rough and tumble play is a great learning medium for all of us. Diving, batting, tug of war, capture the flag, scavenger hunts, kickball, dodgeball, they're all ways to play actively. Through this form of play, we develop emotional regulation as well as cognitive, emotional, and physical mastery. Ritual play. We've been playing a lot of board games in our house, and I'll tell you, one of the board games we've been playing is actually on the phone and iPad. And there are rules and structure, and it's a nice activity for us to engage in. Helps with strategy, and that ritual play brings us together for a common purpose, but doesn't place a whole lot of expectations on people kind of stretching themselves and doing a play that doesn't feel comfortable. So some of you might enjoy chess or board games or activities or sports with set rules. Then you are kind of the ritual player. And I would encourage you to explore opportunities to continue to do more ritual play. Imaginative play, right? So this is what I would do a lot when I was younger. I'd imagine some of you did as well. When we live out our fantasies, let our imagination run wild, create different communities and worlds, took on different personas, maybe dressed up, played outside, built forts. I know my kids have created a spy company, and they're spying on our neighbors, and they're kind of acting out an imaginative play throughout our neighborhood, which is lovely. But as an adult or even as a teen, that might look like coloring, storytelling, painting, drawing, writing, acting, right? Crafting, comedy, improv. The next 2 types of play that are part of these 5 archetypes are body play and object play. So for body play, I see a lot of us engaging in this body play without even seeing it as play, right? Dr. Brown defines body play as that spontaneous desire to get ourselves out of gravity, right? How much fun is this form of play? This could be whitewater rafting, riding roller coasters, mountain climbing, surfing, snorkeling, but it also can be yoga and Pilates and hiking, right? How many of you enjoy this type of play and perhaps didn't even think about the fact that you were playing while doing these activities? And lastly, it's object play. This form of play kind of brings us back to our childhoods. And for those of you that have gone through RPC Plus, we used object play quite a bit to practice those trauma-informed parenting skills and strategies. It encompasses building with Legos or Jenga blocks or building fortresses. It could even be having snowball fights, right? It's the manipulation of objects, building, designing, that all falls into this object play category. So I raise this up to you to, one, consider how many of these things are you participating in, actively practicing now already, and maybe perhaps hadn't even considered that you were engaging in play. How many of these things are activities that you really enjoy doing and haven't had the time or the capacity to, but it typically brings you joy when you do this kind of play? And is there room for you to engage in some of this play? And lastly, when you are doing some of these types of play, if it's rough and tumble or ritual play or body play, is it possible to utilize this as an opportunity to engage the child or youth you're caring for in doing that activity with you, so that you're fulfilling your own need, filling your own cup up, but also creating a playful interaction and opportunity to connect with the child or youth? I put this up here. I saw this image, I think on Facebook probably. I also want to be mindful that I'm not saying you should play more. If you're not doing these things, you should create time, do more, do more, do more. I'm raising up, are there things that you're already doing that you can do more of? Is there one or two things that actually brings you so much joy that by doing it, it will help you feel as though you are a better caregiver or more able to do all of the things that you need to do right now? I, just as all of you, have been experiencing this stay-at-home order and the pandemic as really challenging. I'm attempting to work from home. I'm attempting to try to homeschool and assist my kids in remote working. I'm navigating a partner who's trying to work from home as well. We also feel distracted and not available to tend to our children's needs. It feels like there's so much that we need to do. And the stress of it really is just making a lot of us not have the energy that we typically had prior to this. And it feels like sometimes play is the last thing that we can do. So the one thing I don't want you to walk away with is guilt or shame for not playing as much as you should, or that you need to do anything else, right? I feel like I was in the some moms category here at the beginning of the stay-at-home order, and I'm now with the other moms where it's like, I just need to get through today. What do we have to do? How do we do that in a way that's the least painful? And then at the end of the day, we can see what time we have to do whatever can be done, right? I'm trying to have grace with myself and create space to not have to be a particular way during this time. And I think having that grace for the children and youth that we're caring for is also important. So sometimes it's, don't promise to play. Don't tell yourself that you should play every day or come up with a rigid schedule that isn't working for you and then just makes you feel worse. Sometimes it's creating a playful moment. It could be while you're setting the table for dinner or while you're interacting around homework assignment. You can be playful in your exchange just for a brief moment. It doesn't have to be sitting down to do an entire board game or to do yoga or to do a craft project. Sometimes it could be 2 minutes of coloring with the child while they're doing their art activity that was assigned to them from their teacher, right? So be kind and soft to yourself during this time. I really encourage you to do that. But I also, would love for you to explore RPC Plus if you want to learn more about trauma-informed parenting skills. I encourage you to participate in our Home But Not Alone Connection series that we offer virtually. And you can sign up to attend those through the partnership. Take a look at some of the great blogs and resources that already exist about different ways to engage in play. But the thing I don't want you to do is to come out of this microlearning with a list of things you have to do or purchase. You have what you need. You know what works for you. I'm just supporting you in embracing what works for you and doing that as much as you can, because you are a playmaker. Play is critically important for the child and youth in your home, especially during this time. But most important, play is important for you. And you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of anyone else. So we so appreciate everything that you do as a caregiver, foster kin, or adoptive here in the state of Vermont. And I'm so glad that you joined us for this microlearning today. Keep up the good work and keep playing.